Hi there, I'm Josh Counsel from my good friends over at FX Warehouse. Today we're going to be doing a tutorial covering how to apply a foam latex Who Nose prosthetic. There are many different products that can be used to apply prosthetics, and in the interest of keeping it cost effective and for simplicity for the tutorial, I'm going to be selecting just one particular style of product or one type of product, and then we'll be going through that particular thing. All of the products that you see in this tutorial can be purchased over at the FX Warehouse website, which is fxwarehouse, one word, .info. They have a wonderful selection. They're very fast with their shipping. I recommend them to all of my students, and I use them for my own business. And so I would recommend them also to you. So without further ado, let's get on with the tutorial. Okay, so let's go over the list of things that we need to do this makeup. Firstly, we need the foam latex prosthetic. That's pretty fundamental. We've got palettes here. I like having two, so I'm not having to clean off and go. I can keep my makeup on one, and if I want to use this for any glues or any other bits and pieces, I can use that. We've got some powder here. This is I'm just using regular baby powder at this point. We've got a powder brush, some Q-tips. We've got some glue here. I'm using Prosthetic. You can use any prosthetic adhesive. Best not to use spirit gum if you can help it. It's not a very good glue. It doesn't flex and move with the prosthetic the same way. So I like an acrylic emulsion adhesive or something like Telesis. They're both good ones. Better Bond is good. Pro Adhesive. Any of those ones are all excellent products. We've got a jar with some alcohol in it just for cleaning things and blending edges. Today we're going to be using rubber mask grease, which is also known as RMG for short, and it's specifically designed for use with latex products. The regular cosmetic oils can break down the chemical composition of foam latex and regular latex, and so this particular product has a castor oil base, which doesn't allow for the same amount of deterioration for the latex. I'm not going to get too much into brands, what brands I'm using, because there's a couple of different brands on there. It really depends on your budget and personal preference. There are some quite high-end ones like RCMA. There's some fairly low-end ones like Graftobian. They'll all work, anything in the middle. I know that Krylon has some, Miron has some. A whole bunch of different companies produce rubber mask grease. So it's not so much what is important, the brand, but just the fact that that's what we're using them, and then just whatever your budget will allow will be the best thing for you. The most important thing is making sure that the colours are right, making sure that you match the colours to whoever the performer or model is going to be for the particular makeup. A palette knife, and I have some Prosthetic cream. Now, you can just get some regular Prosthetic, put it in a little tub, leave it out overnight, and it will thicken up, or you can get something called Cabasil, stir it in. It's pretty nasty stuff. You want to wear a respirator if you're going to use it, so I advise against that. Or just purchase a small thing of Prosthetic cream, which you can buy already thickened, and that's probably the best thing. Now, all of the products we're using here are available from FX Warehouse, and so if you want to look them up, you can buy any of these things, the prosthetics, different types of rubber mask grease. I'm going to be using a lot of these little orange stipple sponges. They come with sort of a square little brick, and then you just sort of get scissors and round them off so you don't get any hard edges on your makeup application. And I'm also going to be using some of these little foam wedges for various things as we go. And that's pretty much what we need to get started. And when we're looking at a prosthetic, it has several key elements. Firstly is the fine membrane-like blending edge, which is designed to blend seamlessly into the skin. On the inside of this particular one, you'll notice that there is a receptacle here, which is there to be able to provide airflow around the nose and out the sculpted nostrils, if you see them in the back there. So we don't want to put any glue on the end of the nose and possibly block that airflow. Okay, this is the lovely Katrina, who will be our model today, and we're going to be turning her into a Who. So the first step is to test the fit of the prosthetic. Now, the Who prosthetic is designed to go right along the lip. If you put it on like this and you get this double lip thing, it it doesn't look right, it's not sitting right. You want that to be right on the lip like that, and then that way it actually removes the upper lip. If you put it in too low, it'll go underneath and it'll get full of spit and saliva and it'll start flapping and buzzing when they talk, and it's annoying. So it really should sit like exactly like that, right along the lip there. And make sure there's enough room here. There's 3 different sizes that you can purchase, so it really depends on, it's not like whether the model has a small, medium or large nose. It's actually the distance between the mouth and the eyes as to where it sits on the bridge of the nose. So this one is a medium, which is best for females. Very small females and children would be a small. And what we're going to do is, once we get the placement right and we know that we've got plenty of room around the eyes, we're good to go, I'm just going to take some baby powder and I'm just going to tap in around the outside of it, and when we remove that you can see that there's an outline, so that when we put it back on we'll make sure it's in the right place. So first up, we're going to put a strip of glue on the lip. Try not to get it under where it's going to glue the 2 lips together, and that way we can anchor that in the one spot. And then what I normally do is I'll put just a little bit up here. You want to keep this whole ball of the nose free because you want to allow the airflow around there so that they can breathe through their nose, otherwise it's going to be unpleasant for them. Especially if they're in a show like Seussical or something like that, where they need to be able to breathe to sing, so they don't sound all nasally and awful. I'm going to take this, position it using our guide. We're going to position it along the lip, and then I'm going to just lift this up onto the nose there and press down. And so what we've done is we've anchored it in place. It's not going anywhere, and now we get to glue the rest of it down. Okay, what we're going to do is we're going to peel this back to where it's not glued. And you don't want to pull this off. This glue is extremely strong. You can actually injure their skin if you just yank it up. So until you start feeling any resistance, and then we're going to put some glue in and just kind of leave the edges alone though, because we're going to go in and do those separately. For the edge, I'm going to take a smaller glue brush. You can use a Q-tip as well if you like, but then we're just going to run some glue. If I pull down a little bit, you can see how that pulls away a little bit from the skin, so that we can get this glue underneath, and then just lightly run it. Always run from the prosthetic out. Never go down, because you can end up folding it over itself and getting wrinkles and nasty stuff. And we're going to do that all the way around the edge. Just peel it back a little bit, get the glue under there, and then glue it down. So we've got all the way around the edge. What we're going to do next is, any of you who've used these particular makeup wedges, they are made from the same material. Sometimes they're not, but most of the time they're made from foam latex, and you'll know that they absorb a lot of product. So what we're going to do is we're going to get some glue, and we're going to just coat the entire surface of the prosthetic. Be careful when you're doing this not to push the nose down into the already glued area, and then that will cause the nose to get stuck down. Once that's dry, I'm just going to apply some powder to get rid of the stickiness. Again, don't push the nose down into itself so it glues to itself. You want to powder underneath the nose before you do the top. Just dust off the excess. And now we're going to examine our edge. And I'm just going to take a little bit of alcohol on a Q-tip. I'm just going to run it around, just to see what's going on and blend down any areas that may have little wrinkles or creases. It's a very difficult prosthetic to blend because the blending edge goes right down the middle of the cheek, so it can become very, very easy to see if you don't blend them down properly. So we want to make sure that the edges are as blended as they can. So what we're going to do is we're going to take a little bit of the Prosthetic cream, and I'm just going to pop it onto this palette so I don't have such a large amount. And it's kind of like a drywall mud for prosthetics. So we're going to take it and we're just going to kind of scooch it in here. We don't want to build up a big ridge. We're wanting to just kind of skim it so that it just fills in the gap a little bit and helps us to blend it out. But only if it's necessary. You don't have to do it all the way around if the edge doesn't really need it. I would recommend probably not doing it if possible, just because it becomes problematic to remove at the end of the day or at the end of the session. You can get, again, a little bit of alcohol on a Q-tip and just kind of smooth that all down, make sure it's all nice. Just be aware that it's right underneath the eyes, so the fumes can get up and cause some problems for them if you use way too much. And then we need to dry it off. Once that's dry, just going to powder it again, get rid of the stickiness, and you can see that that's actually blending out much more nicely in those areas that needed it. So I've selected a variety of different colours. I'm sure the yellow and blue is kind of confusing you. We'll get to that in a moment. I've got this one here, which is for the base tone. We've got this one here to add just a little bit of warmth and bits and pieces. This is, if you look at Katrina's face, she's got some freckles and some other bits and pieces that we're going to put back in there. And this one here is to help out with a slightly warm undertone. So I'm going to take this, some of this, and I'm just going to mix a little bit of this sort of burgundy colour so that it becomes like a pinky kind of mauve colour. You don't want to go too purple, otherwise then it's going to look like dead skin with too dark of a purple underneath. And what this is going to do is it's going to simulate all of the warm tones that are underneath the skin naturally, because we're going to layer these colours in. So I'm just going to take this and I'm just going to, we don't want to go too crazy with it. Make sure that we take it slightly past the edge of the prosthetic. You know, just maybe 1/8 of an inch if you're in America. If you're overseas and the rest of the world that uses the metric system, I would say probably maybe 5mm to 1 centimetre past the edge. Doesn't have to be 100% covered. It can be, you know, just a little bit textured. That's partly why we use these stipple sponges, because they create a really nice kind of natural skin textured look. Okay, next step, we're going to go in with some skin tones over the top of that. So this one here, which is kind of her main skin tone, and I'm just going to use this slightly coarser orange stipple sponge, and I'm just going to start putting that on there. You can see immediately that that's starting to blend in pretty well with the rest of the skin. And I didn't powder the undertone because I wanted it to just gently mix a little bit with it to create a nice skin tone. Nice texture. I'm just kind of blending it out into the skin so it doesn't have such a harsh edge to it. Okay, what I'm going to do now, we're going to take a little bit of this yellow and a tiny bit of blue. I'm going to mix a kind of a lime green. And the reason that I'm doing that is Katrina has quite a lot of olive in her skin. So it's probably hard to tell on the camera, but up here it looks a little bit more green and then kind of a little more pinky warm through here. So I'm just going to take a little bit of this color and I'm just going to mix it with tiniest little bit of this green color just to try and match this color that's up on her forehead here. And then I'm going to just put some of that lightly through so that it ties it in more with the rest of the face. I'm going to take this color here we did for the freckles. I'm just going to put it on a separate palette because I'm going to put a little alcohol with that to thin it down so it's not quite so strong. And you can see that just adding a tiny little bit of the alcohol really waters that down, makes it a little bit more washy. And then we can just kind of come in and place in just some of these cute freckles that she had, just to add some texture. Don't go too crazy. You don't want them to look like she's a little schoolgirl, or maybe you do. Okay, another technique that we can use to do some textural stuff like that, freckles and some other stuff, is to do what's called spattering. And I've just got a cheap chip brush from the local hardware store, and I've cut it down a little bit so it's a little more stiff in the bristles. I'm going to get a little bit of alcohol and just make this kind of washy. We're just adding a little bit of this texture to try and match this kind of skin texture that she's got up the top there. In Whoville, usually it's quite cold. It's winter time, it's Christmas. And so they get these little red noses and a little bit of rosiness in the cheeks. So I'm going to take this, you know, slightly warm. I'm just going to add just a tiny bit more from here into there. That might have gone just a smidge too much. Let's cool that back down again. Okay, and from here, I'm going to just add a little pinkiness to the nose. So cute. And with that same color, we're just gonna kind of I like to bring the rosy cheeks a little bit up under the eye. I think it looks nice and helps to blend that edge. Make sure you bring it across the edge of your prosthetic. You don't want to take it just on the edge and really make that more obvious. So. And I'm just going to put a little bit on the chin, and a little bit up through here. Kind of tie it all in. We've lost a little bit of our spatter that we put on a second ago, so we're just going to add a little bit of that back in, just for textural integrity for the makeup, so that the cheeks don't look totally smooth and pink and the rest of the face has texture. So Okay. And I think we're pretty much done with that part of it. From here on you can put some Crazy Who eyeshadows. We're going to powder the face down to set it. So just lightly put some powder on there. And this will set the makeup and allow it to not smudge. Okay, so now that we're pretty much finished with the application of the prosthetic, we can go and do some lipstick, we can do some eyeshadows, some bright colors, do something fun with the hair. We're going to put like a crazy red wig on, and I'm not going to necessarily cover that in the tutorial because that's more of a fashion makeup type thing, but we'll do that and then we'll come right back. And here's the finished makeup. We did some lipstick and some eyeshadow and a bright wig. Okay, so that's the end of our tutorial for today. I hope that you found it educational, and don't forget to check our feed again. We'll be putting up some more tutorials in the coming weeks for various things, so hope to see you there.